You are watching your mouth move. The sentence is already halfway through the air before you realize you did not decide to speak it. The words are clean, they are precise. They land exactly where the conversation has been stalling for the better part of 12 minutes. You feel your lips shape the consonants. You hear the familiar cadence of your own voice, the same pitch, the same slight gravel at the end of the syllables. But the architecture behind it is foreign. You did not think it. You did not plan it. You were listening to a disagreement about quarterly resource allocation, tracing the rim of your white ceramic mug with your thumb, waiting for your turn to nod. Then the sentence left your throat. It resolved a conflict that had been circling the table. It referenced a metric you had not consciously tracked. The client in the gray suit leans forward. The project manager stops writing. Someone exhales and says, "That actually makes sense." The room settles, the tension breaks like a wire, finally finding its path to ground. You feel the weight of the conference chair against your spine. You feel the cool laminate of the table under your wrists. You feel the quiet distance between your awareness and the voice that just filled the room. You do not interrupt the silence. You let it sit. You let them believe you are being thoughtful. You are counting the seconds between your pulse and the realization that you are no longer operating alone inside your own head. Go back. Let's start from when it was still ordinary. You have a chair at the head of the long table. It is not assigned to you by title but by rhythm. You take it every Tuesday at 10. You take it because the seat facing the window catches the morning glare on the projector screen and because this position aligns cleanly with the floor outlet your laptop requires. You arrive at 9:45. You walk down the hall past the break room sink. You fill the glass carafe. You pour it into the white ceramic mug that has a hairline fracture running from the handle down to the base. You set it on the right side of the table, exactly 3 inches from the edge. You open your notebook. You align the pages with the printed agenda. You wait for the others to arrive. They come in the same order they always do. Sarah enters first, carrying the quarterly deck, her keys jingling against her lanyard. David follows, already reviewing his supply chain notes on a tablet. Alina arrives last, always offering the same quiet apology for the elevator delay. You do not mind the routine, you rely on it. It is a series of predictable waits that keep the week anchored. You know when David will clear his throat before speaking. You know when Sarah will tap her pen against the spine of her notebook. You know the exact moment the conversation will pivot to Q3 projections, and you know how to prepare for it. You have built a life on the quiet certainty of repetition. It does not excite you, it sustains you. You drink your coffee. It tastes exactly as it did last week. The room smells like dry erase markers, recycled air, and faint citrus from the cleaning solution used on the glass walls. The clock on the wall ticks without urgency. You open the document. You wait for the meeting to begin. It always does. The hum of the projector blends with the low murmur of pre-agenda small talk. You adjust your posture. You settle in. You are ready. It happens during the budget review. David is walking through vendor consolidation metrics. You are listening. You are watching the numbers slide across the screen. The conversation stalls on a logistics bottleneck. Someone turns to you and asks how you would handle the delivery timeline. You open your mouth to say you need to pull the spreadsheet first. You have the sentence formed. You feel the shape of it against your teeth. It does not come out. Instead, your jaw shifts. Your tongue moves to a different position. A different sound leaves your throat. You suggest restructuring the delivery windows to stagger across the fiscal quarter instead of front-loading them. The sentence is complete. It is grammatically precise. It references a bottleneck metric you were not consciously tracking. The room goes quiet for half a second. David nods slowly. He says that would actually solve the inventory choke point. You feel your own surprise like a cold draft under a closed door. You did not think that. You did not plan it. You recognize the words as yours, but the architecture behind them is unfamiliar. You tell yourself it is just synthesis. Your brain has been processing the data in the background while you slept. It pulled the connection forward. It is how expertise works. You have been in this role long enough that your subconscious recognizes the patterns before your conscious mind does. You smile slightly. You say you will run the numbers to confirm. The meeting moves on. You pick up your pen. You make a note about vendor A. You do not think about it again for 9 days. The second occurrence changes the texture of the room. It is not a budget review. It is a strategy alignment. You are supposed to be listening to a presentation on brand positioning. You are watching the slide transition. You are feeling the familiar weight of fatigue behind your eyes. Someone asks how to handle the cross-regional messaging without diluting the core identity. Your throat tightens. You feel the familiar pressure of a sentence you did not initiate. You watch your hands rest flat on the table. You feel the choice forming before the words arrive. You can speak. You can let whatever is building behind your teeth come out and you will know exactly what it is. Or you can swallow it. You can cough. You can say you need more time. You can protect the quiet. The room is waiting. The silence is stretching. You feel the edges of your own hesitation. You choose to speak. You open your mouth. You let it happen. The sentence is about regional adaptation versus standardization. It is balanced. It acknowledges both sides. It proposes a middle path that no one has mentioned. The project manager writes it down immediately. You feel the small loss right away. The quiet is gone. You have given up the right to assume your thoughts are entirely your own. You cannot unhear yourself. You sit back. You take a slow breath. You look at your hands. They are perfectly still. You tell yourself it is just intuition. You decide to track it. You open a blank document on your laptop. You type the date. You type the sentence you just spoke. You close the tab. You return to the presentation. The meeting continues as if nothing has changed. Everything has changed. You have started paying attention. This is the part you cannot undo. It does not happen randomly. It follows the friction. The first time was a logistical block. The second time was a strategic divide. The third time arrives during a personnel discussion. The tone is heavier. The room is defensive. Someone is arguing for a formal performance improvement plan. Someone else is pushing for an extended grace period. The air grows thick with unspoken resentment. You are supposed to be neutral. You are supposed to take notes. You feel the familiar stillness settle over your chest. You feel the sentence assembling itself in your throat. It is not angry, it is not soft, it is surgical. It cuts through the emotion and isolates the operational truth. It suggests a probationary framework with clear metrics instead of a binary choice between punishment and leniency. It is the exact thing the room needs to hear to stop arguing. You deliver it. You watch them relax. You watch them agree. You watch them turn the tension into action. You feel the rhythm now. It is not chaos. It is not a malfunction. It is a response. It appears when the conversation stalls. It appears when the human elements cloud the structural problem. It offers the path of least resistance to resolution. It is always correct. It is always received well. It never overreaches. It never falters. You are not generating these thoughts. You are receiving them. You are the conduit. You open your notebook. You write down the 3 instances. You look at them side by side. They share a signature. They arrive at the exact moment the room loses its way. They leave immediately after the way is found. You close the notebook. You stare at the blank screen of your laptop. You do not ask what is happening. You ask what it wants. The pattern is not random. It is operating with intention. You sit very still. You let the question hang in the quiet. It was patient. You find the explanation on a Thursday night. You are sitting at your kitchen table. The house is quiet. You have downloaded the meeting recordings from the internal server. You drag the audio file into a waveform editor. You zoom in on the second instance. You watch the peaks and valleys of the sound. You look at the spectrogram. You see your voice. You see the frequency. You see the pause. There is a half-second gap between the question and your response. Not a hesitation. A clean, empty space where a breath should be. You lean closer. You measure it. It is exactly 0.5 seconds. Every time you exhale, the tension leaves your shoulders. You know what this is. It is processing latency. Your brain is taking half a second to retrieve the optimal phrase from memory. It is the same delay a computer has when it runs a search algorithm. You have been training yourself for years. Your mind has built a library of responses. The pause is just the retrieval time. It is mechanical. It is explainable. You are not losing your mind. You are just efficient. You smile at the screen. You close the laptop. You pour a glass of water. You feel the floor beneath your feet. You feel the quiet of your home. You are safe. The explanation is reasonable. The waveform does not care. You open the file again. You scroll to the third instance. You look at the same gap. You look at the audio track before it. You notice the frequency of your breathing in the half second before you speak. It is perfectly steady. No inhalation, no shift in posture, no vocal preparation. When you speak naturally, your breath catches slightly before the first consonant. It always has. It is in every recording you have ever made. This time there is nothing. The sound cuts in at full amplitude. The gap is not retrieval time. It is an insertion. The words did not come from you. They were placed into the air. You sit very still. You watch the screen. You realize you have been listening to the wrong silence. The pattern predates your awareness of it. You were not the one who started it. You know you cannot explain this away. You know the pattern is structural. You know it is not random. You sit at your desk on a Monday morning. The calendar notification pops up. The weekly alignment. The room will be full. The agenda will contain 3 unresolved conflicts. You feel the weight of the choice. You can decline the invitation. You can say you are focusing on deep work. You can step out of the room entirely. You will lose your seat. You will lose your visibility. You will become irrelevant to the decisions being made, or you can attend. You can sit in your chair, you can let the friction build, you can let it speak through you again. You will lose the boundary of your own voice. You will no longer know which thoughts are yours and which are being delivered. The calendar reminder blinks. You have 10 minutes. You look at your hands. You look at the empty chair at the table. You feel the shape of your career pressing against your ribs. You feel the shape of your mind pressing back. You cannot have both. You cannot pretend you are unaware. You click accept. You close the laptop. You stand up. You walk toward the conference room. You do not look back. You do not hesitate. You open the door. You take your seat. You wait for the question. This decision cannot be undone. You feel the exact moment the choice settles into your posture. You are choosing the friction. You are choosing to stay in the room. You are choosing to let it use you. You place your notebook on the table. You uncaps your pen. The door closes behind you. The room fills. The meeting begins. The usual rhythms establish themselves. The coffee is poured. The projector hums. The first topic arrives. The second topic arrives. The friction builds. You feel it in your jaw. You feel it in your chest. You keep your hands flat on the table. You keep your mouth closed. You listen to the room argue. You listen to them circle the same problem for 8 minutes. You feel the sentence forming behind your teeth. It is complete. It is ready. It wants out. You do not speak. You let it build. You let it press against the back of your throat. You let it fill the space where your voice usually lives. You feel the pressure rise. You feel the exact moment it tries to move your lips. You hold the line. You bite down gently. You swallow. The room keeps talking. The argument escalates. The tension breaks into frustration. Someone raises their voice. Someone else shuts down. The meeting fractures. You watch it happen. You say nothing. You take notes. You record the collapse. You let it finish. You close your notebook. You stand up. You leave. The cost is immediate. You are no longer the person who fixes things. You are the person who watches. The quiet competence that defined your role evaporates. You walk back to your desk. You sit down. You open the blank document. You type one line. You do not add anything else. You save it. You look at the screen. You feel the absence in your throat. It is permanent. You have taken back your voice, but you have lost your utility. You are left with the quiet and the knowledge that it was waiting for your permission to speak. That is who you are now. You understand the shape of it now. It was never a malfunction. It was never an intrusion. It was a correction. The first instance was not a random thought. It was a response to a logistical flaw you had already accepted as normal. You remember telling yourself it was just synthesis. It was not. It was a structural realignment delivered through a channel you did not know you had. The second instance was not intuition. It was an operational truth the team was too defensive to see. You remember feeling the small loss of quiet when you chose to speak. That loss was not yours to keep. The third instance was not empathy. It was a clean resolution to a personnel problem you had buried under the weight of office politics. You remember the half-second pause in the recording. You remember the steady breath. You watch yourself in the files. You watch the words arrive exactly when the room needed them. You were not generating solutions. You were receiving them from something that understood the system better than you did. Something that did not care about credit or ego or fatigue. Something that only cared about the pattern resolving. You realize why it chose you. You are predictable. You are reliable. You show up at 9:45. You sit in the same chair. You drink from the same mug. You have trained your body into a perfect rhythm. You are an antenna that never moves. You were not speaking. Something was speaking through the habit of you. You close the files. You clear the desktop. You sit in the quiet. You do not look for answers. You know they will not come. You only know the weight of what you have been carrying. You set it down. You cannot explain what you saw. You also cannot explain why you are certain. You go to the kitchen sink to rinse your mug. You set it on the drying rack. You turn toward the hallway. You stop. You look back at the counter. The mug is facing the wall. You always turn it outward. You know you did. You watch it sit there. The ceramic is dry. The light catches the hairline crack. You do not move it. You do not ask why. You leave it as it is. You walk to the bedroom. You lie down. You close your eyes. You listen to the quiet. It is not empty. It is waiting. This level of quiet observation is a heavy weight to carry, but it's also the only thing keeping your own mind intact. If you see yourself in this story, if you've ever noticed a sentence arrive fully formed before you claimed it, remember this. You are not alone, so between the moments of friction we just traced, which one felt most familiar to you? And more importantly, are you ready to notice the half-second pause before you let your voice take over again? Share in the comments, I'd really like to hear your story. If today's video brought you value, hit like and share it with someone who might also be quietly losing track of their own rhythm. Your awareness today could help them hear themselves again. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to keep mapping the spaces between what we think and what we actually say. I'll see you next time.